This country has been amazingly generous to what Australians have done in Libya. I desire, in justice, to say this, that what the Australians have done in Libya could never have been done but for the magnificent and indeed miraculous work of the British Armoured Division. The one thing that I want to make clear to you about Australians who are there and about the British soldiers who are there is this. They have, I believe, enjoyed this victory. And you have enjoyed it. And the civilized world has enjoyed it. There can be no question of that. But there can also be no question of this, that nobody concerned in that victory believes for one moment that he has reached the end of his job. There is not one man there, and I spoke to hundreds, probably to thousands of them. I made a personal contact with every Australian unit in the Middle East. And not one man can be found there who doesn't say to himself and to you, if you give him the chance, all right, this was very pleasant. This has been a very nice win. In the homely Australian phrase, this has been good-o. But when do we start to operate on the other fellow? In a word, they know, as I hope we all know, that this task is beginning. I hope not to be accounted a pessimist, but I should think it the greatest folly for anybody to believe that we are not merely at the commencement of the task that we have in the winning of this war. And in a sense, Mr. Chairman, in a sense, that is perhaps not a bad thing for our ultimate victory. It's going to mean immense sacrifices. It's going to require immense endurance and fortitude. And sometimes, you know, it is more difficult to be patient than to be brave. It's going to require all these things. But all the time, what is happening in this country, in mine, in every British country the world over, in the great United States of America, the lethargy of 2 years ago is dissolving more and more every day. Wheels that have been silent are beginning to turn. There's a roaring crescendo of production going on all over the English-speaking world. If any German consoles himself with the thought that he has gone within an ace of destroying the city of London, then I would suggest that he comes here himself. Thousands of him, if necessary. The more the merrier. And if he has a chance, let him have a look. All this attack that has been launched in this city, diabolical as it has been, seems to me to be nothing more than the expression of that extraordinary contradiction in the German mind, which can produce at one moment the clearest intelligence and mental achievement, and at the next moment the most utter, hopeless, lunatic folly. And this particular lunatic folly, of course, is based on the belief, the strange belief, for which there's no warrant in history, that British civilians have no spirit, or shall I say, that British women have less courage than British men. Very many people in this city, in this country, say to me and say to other Australians, particularly at this time, how marvelous it is that you Australians, all these thousands of miles away from us, should be doing what you're doing in this war. Now that's an expression of generous emotion, but I have a grave intellectual quarrel with it. It is not marvelous that Australians should be doing what they're doing. It is not some rare and strange phenomenon. If this were your fight, and we were graciously helping you, that might be true. But this is our fight, just as much as it is yours. It was the fashion, sir, a few years ago, a fashion I've no doubt encouraged by that deplorable race of men, lawyers. And particularly what's known as constitutional thinkers. It was the fashion to say, the disintegrating elements in the British Empire are at work. Learned people said that there were centrifugal forces at work, and that the result of them would be that when the next strain came onto the structure, Australia would go one way and New Zealand another and Canada another and so on. It might perhaps be of some encouragement to this great audience, to those perhaps to whom I may speak through this audience, if I say that these expressions of mine, which represent the view of every party and of every creed in Australia, are not a mere expression of filial piety, great as that quality is, but they're to be read side by side with the concrete effort that my country is making, and with those even greater efforts that it hopes to make as the months go by. It would be a long business, Mr. Chairman, a long business, for me to endeavour to tell this audience in any detail, or even in a comprehensive, summarised fashion, what we have been trying to do. But as I thought about this matter last night, it occurred to me that there were one or two interesting things, pointers, highlights, whatever you care to call them, that are not without value in determining what the Dominion that I represent has been endeavouring to do. And endeavouring to do, mind you, not from a flying start. All of us, all over the British world, were very comfortable only a few years ago. We were very leisurely only a few years ago. We had pinned our hopes onto things that turned out to be quite insubstantial. And so when war began, or just before war began, we found that we had to endeavour to set into motion processes which had been too long stagnant, processes which took a long time to revive. But in spite of that, I remember with some satisfaction totaling the effort that was being made in Australia, two or three things that I should like to mention to you. In the first place, we have in Australia a problem of our own defence in our own waters and on our own shores. That is a new problem. The reasons for it I needn't discuss at this moment. But it is a new problem as compared with the problems of 25 years ago. And consequently, we have found it necessary, being a lonely outpost of this empire, to provide for home defence forces on a scale that nobody dreamt of a few years ago.